Hello friends, and not yet friends, welcome back to Mary's Test Kitchen, where I'm making you the plant-based sesame chicken of your dreams. With my very best, most versatile, succulent, chickeny chickless seitan, battered, then fried to crispy perfection, and coated with sweet and salty sesame sauce. This is one recipe you'll want to try right away. But before we get started, please hit the thumbs up button to help the channel out. Plus, I've got to thank everyone who requested this recipe and also for waiting so long for me to deliver. So with no time to waste, let's get started on our light and airy crispy batter with a 1/4 cup of ground flaxseed in a large mixing bowl. Actually, to make sure they're fresh, I always buy whole flax seeds and store them in the fridge. And whenever I can, I buy these golden flax seeds rather than the regular brown kind because they are invisible in baking. Fellow Canadians, they are in Bulk Barn. Probably doesn't matter at all in this recipe though, so don't let that stop you if you only have brown flax seeds right now. Grind those seeds into a powder. As I mentioned before, I love using my Cuisinart spice grinder, which of course is what's so exciting about hitting your late 30s. Anyways, we can use the powder right away, but if you have extra, make sure to store the leftovers in the fridge since the high oil content means it can go rancid quickly. To the ground flax, add 2 tablespoons of cornstarch and the same amount of all-purpose flour. I'm using regular, but feel free to use a 1-to-1 gluten-free baking mix if you need to. Add 1 teaspoon of baking powder and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Lastly, 1 cup of cold water and mix it all together. It looks super watery now, but in 5 minutes the flax will gel up and it will be nice and thick to coat our vegan chicken, which of course we'll chop from this log of chickeny chickless seitan because it's gotta be in your regular rotation by now, right? Always keep a pound or 2 on hand at all times. It's like a new official Mary's Test Kitchen guideline. Now you can cut cubes, but I like irregular shapes, so let's make some thick medallions first. Then score it. And rip. It's very satisfying. In case you are wondering if you can use something else instead of homemade seitan for this recipe, well, you know the rules. There are no rules. But seriously, even though it's the best, with my chickeny chickless seitan, you can also make this with extra firm or pressed tofu, tempeh, though you should steam or boil it first to get rid of any bitterness, or use store-bought vegan chicken. We are living in the future and you have options. However, if you're not gluten-free, I highly recommend you try making the seitan. Just look at it. Well, it looks more like jackfruit than chicken when we process it this way. And I'm stoked. Okay, time to stop admiring our handiwork and get on with the aromatics. You'll need a bit of garlic, ginger, and onion. Mince the garlic. Roughly is okay. For the ginger, this little chunk will give me about a teaspoon minced. Once I cut off the skin, brutally, with as much waste as possible. You could be gentle and simply caress it with a spoon and this would come right off. But like, why would I dirty a spoon when I already have a knife out? Anyways, you can mince it however you like. Next, slice up about 1/4 of a large white onion. You might remember this guy from last week's vegan coconut curry chicken recipe. Don't you just love it when groceries work out like that? This will be about a 1/2 cup, thinly sliced. And actually, you can use yellow or even red onion, whatever you have. It doesn't have to be white. Then with our aromatics prepped, let's make a little stir-fry sauce with a 1/2 cup of vegan chicken-style broth, a 1/4 cup of sugar or your favorite 1-to-1 sweetener, a tablespoon of Shaoxing wine, or sherry if you can't get the proper Chinese stuff or you want to make sure it's gluten-free. And just broth if you don't want to cook with alcohol at all. Add a tablespoon of soy sauce or gluten-free alternative if you need it. A tablespoon of dark soy sauce. A tablespoon of sesame oil. And a teaspoon of rice vinegar, or white vinegar will do in a pinch too. We're almost done with the prep. Let's just make a quick cornstarch slurry and that will be our thickener at the end. By now, our batter is nice and thick and we can dump all the chickeny chickless seitan in. Fold so everything gets coated. All right, time for the bravery test. Are you ready? A great big tree, right in the middle. Oh, sorry, wrong tutorial. Let's get the wok on the stove. You can also use a Dutch oven or a similar pot for this. And also set up a place for our vegan chicken to land nearby. Caca! Fill your pot with a few inches of cooking oil. I'm feeling sunny today, so sunflower oil it is. Well, actually, sunflower oil because it was on sale and that's how I roll. Turn the heat to high and heat that oil until it reaches 350 degrees Fahrenheit. If you don't have a handy-dandy thermometer like mine, the chopstick method can work. Wait until there are fine and fast bubbles that form around it. But this technique does take a bit of experience, and it's not super precise, so use a frying thermometer or something like this for best results. After your temperature is reached, carefully add in your battered seitan. Take your time, and don't add too many pieces at once. Otherwise, the temperature will drop too far. If it does, the fried batter will turn out greasy and heavy instead of crisp and light like it should be. To be honest, I'm pushing it a little here. Periodically, you'll want to check on the temperature and adjust your heat up or down to keep it in the range of 350 to 375 degrees Fahrenheit. And if you do, in just 1 to 2 minutes, the seitan should look like this. Lacy and light kind of batter. Lots of nooks and crannies for our sauce later. Remove them right away and let it drain on that cooling rack. Check the temperature and then continue with your next batch of battered seitan. As you go, the temperature tends to go up, so keep checking it often. And take out the seitan when it's still a little bit of a lighter color than you want to finish with. As they sit on the rack here, they will keep cooking and get a bit darker. Last batch in. It looks like we can turn off the heat. And see how good that crispy batter looks? Now, while those cool a bit, you can switch to a clean pan or wok. But I'm going to ever so carefully transfer the hot oil to a heat-proof container. If you choose the same route, make sure there are no pets or kids nearby ready to bump into your elbow and cause a tragic scene where it ends with waiting at the ER for 8 hours in pain because that's how the healthcare system is these days. Anyways, I'm leaving a tablespoon or so of hot oil in the wok, which is also still quite hot, so I won't have to turn the stove back on yet. I can drop in the aromatics now. First, the sliced onion, then garlic and ginger. Stir fry for about 30 seconds. Then we go in with the sesame sauce mix. Now we'll turn the stove back on so the sauce can come to a rolling boil. Once this happens, switch the heat off again. Stir up your cornstarch slurry and pour it in. The sauce should thicken up quickly in this residual heat. Beautiful. And you can drop in your crispy fried chickeny chicklet seitan. Fold everything to make sure every piece gets coated. Shiny and beautiful. And there you have my very best vegan sesame chicken, ready to be garnished with toasted sesame seeds and chopped green onion, if you like. As for me, I've got to have a dish like this with hot, steamy rice. And a little steamed broccoli as well. Vegan sesame chicken is just so flavorful, you don't want to have strong competing flavors overwhelming the plate, so simple is best. At least for me. Let me know if you agree or disagree. What would you have this with? Who would you share it with? Share this video with them maybe. As always, remember the printable recipe is linked in the video description for your convenience. Thank you so much for watching, my friends. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you did. And I really hope you try this recipe soon because it's just so darn good. I know you and whoever you share it with are going to love it so much. If you do, please let me know how it goes and leave a review on the blog. It would be so wonderful of you. Well, it's time for me to work on our next delicious veganized chickeny dish. So please, subscribe if you haven't already and turn on notifications so you'll be the first to know when it's ready. Bye for now.